Yo, what's up, guys? Frankie D, the coach here. And today I want to talk about negative self-talk. And we live in a world and a society where negative self-talk is a no-no. Don't do that. Negative self-talk, it leads you down a bad road, right? Like you want to accomplish some shit and you got to be positive. You got to constantly feed your mind with positive images of that end result, positive thoughts, positive self-coaching, positive talk that get you to where you're going, a belief that no matter what, even when things are going wrong, you can accomplish. You will accomplish. And I don't disagree with that at all. I think that every person that's going to be successful at a thing needs to have a fair amount, a very good amount of positive self-talk. But I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit, and I'm going to say that every once in a while, that message, very similar to how, we'll say like an NFL coach, he'll coach a team for 10 years and they'll be rocking and rolling for 8 and killing it, and then 9 and 10, that message, that voice kind of falls off a little bit, right? Doesn't have the same power. Maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's a high school coach that you grew up with or whatever. And after a while of hearing that same message, maybe it becomes a little dull. Maybe it loses its luster a little bit. And that's kind of my argument with positive self-talk. And is there a fair amount of negative self-talk that we need to impose on ourselves at times when that positive message is just not taking the same effect that it took, right? So I think, as with all things, there's a certain amount of, that stuff that you're gonna do, right? There's a certain amount of positive self-talk, but there's kind of like a yin and a yang. There's also times where that positive self-talk is not gonna be so effective. So I actually believe that there are times when a little bit of negative input, whether it be from an outside source, a coach, someone calling you on your shit, or even yourself calling yourself on your own shit and almost talking a little junk, popping a little junk at yourself to get a little motivation, is going to be more effective. So for example, like, I'm an entrepreneur and there's a lot of things that I try to accomplish, and I got this long list of stuff that I want to do. And a lot of times as an entrepreneur, you make all these lists and you really only get, you barely even get through a little bit of it. So it can make you feel like not that successful a lot, right? You make these long lists of things and then you really only accomplish a little, and then you add more to it as you go. So it can make you feel not very successful. And at times, to be on that grind and to keep pushing is difficult. So a recent thing that I did, I just kind of found myself not being able to to perform at the level I really want to perform at, right? So what I did was I just kind of got into this language and this conversation with myself, like, you know what, motherfucker, like, you don't really want this shit. Like, you talking about it, you're dreaming about it, you're creating pictures, you're telling motherfuckers that this is what you want, but I don't think you really want this. Because people that want this shit, they're doing things a certain way, and it's not the way that you're doing it. And I'm just keep coming back at myself, like, motherfucker, you don't want this. Like, you don't really, you talking about it, but you don't really want this. And this is like a real exercise that I did with myself, and I found that it was really good at motivating me to get my ass moving, because it made me stop and kind of go, like, look at myself, like, am I really doing the things? Am I bridging the gap? What's the difference between me and somebody who's real successful at this shit? Like, is there a big difference? Are their actions different than mine? And it made me stop and think, like, all right, I'm gonna pop a little shit to myself. Like, I need a little bit of that. I need a little trash talk. I need a little bit of motherfucker, you can't do that. You think you can do it, but you can't do that. How about that? Let's see what you're gonna do. See how you're gonna react to it. Fucking push you on your head and shit. See how you're gonna react to that. And it might be different for different people, but for me, I seem to react pretty well to that little bit of bit of self-trash talk, like, you know, like an athlete on the field. Some athletes do better when you're talking trash. Like it's kind of how I am. Like I do a little bit better when I'm talking a little bit of trash, whether it be competitive sports or whether it be in life. If someone calls me on my stuff, it seems to spark that little thing in me that goes, you know what, this motherfucker is calling me out. Let me show up and let me show improve, instead of always like, oh, I'm doing so well and oh, everything is gonna be all right. And like no, it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you're not doing fucking well. Sometimes you're straight up shit in the bed and not representing the things that you think that you want to do. And sometimes you need to be called on that, whether it be someone in your life, a good friend. Because if you ask me, all the bad friends are the ones that continue to listen to your same story about your thing that you want to change over and over, but never really call you on your shit. They're always like, oh yeah, no, I understand, but they never really call you and tell you, you know, call you on your shit and tell you, you need to stop fucking complaining and change some shit, right? Those are the worst friends. The best friends are the ones that, even though it hurts, even though it stings a little bit, are gonna step up and tell you exactly what you need to hear in order to change your life. So everything in this world is not going to be all positive, you know? Everything in your head is not always going to be all positive. Again, I think there should be a fair amount of positive affirmation, positive self-talk, positive belief in the thing that you're going after. But every once in a while, like, you got to be called on your shit, whether it's from the outside or whether it's from the inside. So this is my little tip for you guys. Like, negative self-talk, like, it's gonna be there sometimes. And sometimes, believe it or not, it actually should be there. And you should be calling yourself on your shit and testing yourself and seeing if you're really worthy of the thing you're trying to go for. So most of the time, again, positive self-talk, it really, really works. But every once in a while, it loses its power. It loses its luster. And maybe you try this out. If you're really kind of, you know, you're a little bit tough, right? You could take a little bit. Call yourself on your shit. Call yourself out. Do you really want that? You really want that? You think you want that. You think you want that. But people who really want that, they're doing a certain thing, and that ain't you. That's what I did to myself. Seems to be pretty effective. Again, positive self-talk is something that we need a lot, but every once in a while, we got to be called out. So I hope this helped, guys. Try it on yourself. Try to call yourself out, see what happens, see if it motivates you, and let me know if that worked. Catch you soon.